Hello, friend, and welcome to the U-Turn podcast. This is the absolute place for you if you are ready to create a business, a career, a personal brand, or just a life that you are so proud of. And every single week, I'll be bringing you PhDs, subject matter experts, psychology practitioners, business leaders, all onto the show to elevate your success in your work and also your life, so that you can leave a legacy, you can amplify your authority, and you can really skyrocket the amount of opportunities that you are creating for yourself in your career, whether you're in corporate or you're a business owner. My name is Ashley Stahl. I'm an international best-selling author of the book U-Turn. Get unstuck, discover your direction, and design your dream career. And most importantly, I'm the CEO of Wise Whisper Agency. I'm a top 100 TEDx speaker on the internet, and it inspired me to start Wise Whisper because my company now has a completely done-for-you process to get your signature talk written and booked on stage. In fact, we've written more than 100 TEDx talks, and we've placed more than 100 clients on stage as speakers for TEDx events. And now I'm on a mission to help every change maker that I know impact millions and share their story. So right now, I'm excited to bring you right into this week's episode. All right, U-Turn friends, you know that I spent 12 years as a career coach, and your girl has hustled on LinkedIn. And we live in a world where if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, what are you doing? What is happening? We need that for you. And that's why today I wanted to bring one of my OG guests, Heather Monahan, back on the show. If you haven't heard her episodes on my show before, you've got to check it out. She's full of wisdom. She has so many resources that have helped so many people skyrocket their personal brand, their speaking career. She's a top keynote speaker. She's an author. She has a really powerful story around how she lost her job and completely catapulted her career from there. And a lot of that has to do with speaking. But what's most present for me with Heather right now is a couple of things. Number one, she's the senior advisor for Inner Fifth, which is my absolute most favorite community of high-level women in business. If you identify as a female entrepreneur, this is a community you need to look into. Inner Fifth has some of the biggest expanders in my life. It's founded by Tracy Holland, and Heather is really, really involved with it. The power of community and getting your goals further than you could ever imagine is crucial. And the second thing we're here to talk about is LinkedIn, because where can you find your business community? Just to get started, LinkedIn. Where can people find you? LinkedIn. So with that said, Heather has become a total beast on LinkedIn. If you see her, it's beast mode on there. She's got so many people following her, so many people commenting, so many business opportunities that have come her way through it. Years and years she's invested in building it. So this is the episode for you if you have thought, what am I doing with my LinkedIn profile? How do I make this thing an actual thing? You're in the right place. Grab your pen. Heather, thanks for coming back on the show.
Oh my gosh, Ashley, thank you so much for having me. Always love to hang out with you and do anything I can with you. I'm so hyped. We actually met in real life recently too. And I'm so grateful to spend time with you always.
Was that the first time we met in real life? Was at in Miami? That was like a year ago. Do you remember that? In Miami with Iman.
Wait, we met in Miami?
Yes, we went to Soho House with Iman, and it was in Miami.
I totally forgot about
Yes.
You're right.
Yes.
Oh, yes. So when we were just in LA together, that was our second time being together. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, crazy. Like, the internet is so powerful, and that's what this is really about, right? Is like LinkedIn. I cannot imagine the amount of opportunities you've created for yourself there. And I myself, as a career coach, I know the value of it as far as branding yourself, having the right wording on there, but turning it into a lead machine for you, that's where I find it to be so exciting and fascinating. Can we just start with your story of like, what happened to pull you into entrepreneurship, and why has LinkedIn been a place you're so invested in?
Yeah, for sure. So, oh my gosh. First of all, I would not be anywhere near where I am today without LinkedIn. So I'm so grateful for it. If you're currently not on LinkedIn, it is not too late, my friends. Maybe 7 years ago was the right time for you to get on. Today is the only time. So I want to help your business, and I want you to have access to all the opportunities I have access to as a result of that platform. So I guess I was 43 at the time. I just turned 50. So this is 7 years ago. I was in corporate America. I was a chief revenue officer of a media company. I was killing it. I was just named one of the most influential women in radio. I was, promoted. I was featured everywhere. And on the outside looking in, I had everything on lock. However, like many of us in corporate America, I was working side by side with another woman that despised me. She was the CFO. I was the chief revenue officer. And I kind of always was like, oh, hey, whatever. She's got a nasty attitude towards me. I'll turn a blind eye to her bad behavior, focus on me, focus on my lane and my job, and just keep kicking ass and taking names. And so I did that. However, that is a flawed model, my friends, I've learned. Never turn a blind eye to bad behavior. Always call it out. What was happening is over time, I was chipping away at my own confidence because I was kind of dimming my light a little, kind of pulling back a little, and she was gaining in power. During this time, I'd worked for the same CEO for 14 years. He loved me, always promoted me. He was great. It was her father. Well, he became ill unexpectedly. And this is the thing, guys, like you can't control if your CEO gets hit by a bus or your company gets bought out tomorrow. Things can change and people can leave and everything can change for you. So the most important thing is to invest in yourself and do you, no matter where you are. And so for me, she ended up taking her father's position as CEO, and immediately she terminated me. I had an 18-month non-compete, non-solicit, which meant I had to leave the industry that I was an expert in, and I had to start over somewhere as a beginner. I had no idea what I was going to do, but thanks to LinkedIn, I put a post up that said, I've just been fired. And if I've ever done anything for you, I need to hear from you now. That post went viral because people weren't talking about getting fired very much back then. And that post landed me on the Elvis Duran show. I was on the show halfway through the interview. He said to me, obviously you're writing a book. I wasn't writing a book. And he spoke this belief and confidence into me. And I Googled how do you write a book, started writing a book. And that's really what launched me into my entrepreneurial business, which has been up and running now for 7 years. But, I go back to this one differentiator for me, and it really was LinkedIn from the jump. If I hadn't gone to LinkedIn to post on LinkedIn, who knows where I would be right now. But that platform has given me such reach, such connection to hundreds of thousands of people, millions of profile views every month, and 90% of my business still to this day comes from that platform.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so isn't it amazing that sometimes just by putting yourself out there, it's like you invite these opportunities to you that you could have never imagined. And it is a fine line, right? Like some people being fired is the one thing they never want anybody to know. And it's like, how do you dodge that question in an interview? You owned it and you made art of it and it paid you back. How do you make a decision on what to share versus not to share when it comes to your personal brand?
I think it's important that people understand this. Everyone in the world is going to tell you what you should and should not do. There's one voice and opinion that ever matters, and it's your own. Right. So to Ashley's point, when I put that post up, my phone started ringing like crazy. It was my friends and people who love me saying, take that post down. You look pathetic. No one's going to hire you if they know you were fired. And I remember thanking them for their care and worry because they meant it from genuine good places. But when I hung up the phone, I checked in with myself and I thought, do I feel pathetic? No, I feel bad for that company that just fired me because they're screwed. I'm not there anymore, right? So I had this moment of saying, I didn't steal, I didn't hurt somebody, I didn't do something evil. Yeah. As a person, I'm a person that this other person who's now in charge doesn't like. I don't feel bad about that. And so I made the decision after checking in with myself, no, I'm going to keep it up. So the most important thing to do is to check in with you. There are always going to be voices and people telling you, you shouldn't share about your kids. You shouldn't share about your past. You shouldn't share about your relationship, whatever. Check in with yourself and get that answer for you, because that one answer that does resonate with you might be the difference maker for you and your business that nobody else can really understand until after it's happened. And then everyone comes back to you now. And it's funny, those same people that were telling me not to do that are calling me all the time. Personal brand and tell me the strategy, tell me what to do. And I laugh. I'm like, do you remember you told me it was a terrible idea that I do it? Yeah. Okay. It's pretty funny, but okay. Happy to help.
It's interesting. Like, I feel like back in 2012, 2010, I was seeing some personal brands pop up on Twitter. Like people had Twitter followings. Twitter was huge. I don't even know why it's called X right now. When they changed it, I thought it was my phone. I was like, what is this X on my phone? Anyway, and it's obviously evolving. Where do you see personal branding going just based on being someone who has a podcast? I know a lot of people come up to me and they say like, oh, podcasts are, it's too late. And I'm like, what are you talking about? If you look at YouTube, there's millions of YouTube channels and there are way less podcasts than there are YouTube channels. There's still so much time and space. Like, what comes into your mind when you think about the next step for building your brand?
Okay, before I get into that, you just triggered a thought for me that I want to share with everyone. It is not too late. It is never too late. Like I just don't believe in that. Let's think about some of the most successful people out there, right? Like Steve Jobs was fired in his 40s, reinvented himself, and came back. We look at Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first, media gig, had to reinvent herself and come back. We look at J.K. Rowling, who was unemployed and, you'd think washed up as a single parent, reinvented herself and became one of the most famous authors out there. It's never too late in anyone's story. There's countless. Vera Wang started, making wedding dresses in her 40s. There's so many stories of people out there, from Julia Child to Martha Stewart. The list goes on and on and on and on of people who either reinvented themselves, started a new career. Morgan Freeman, like it's unbelievable how many people didn't get started till later. So no matter what your passion is, when you find it and you start stepping into something and you're like, hey, I like this, like this lands with me, keep going. Tune out the noise of whoever tells you that it's too late to start a podcast. I started my podcast 5 years ago. Everyone told me it was too late. They're like, why are you wasting your time? You're late to the party yet again, Heather. It's like, it doesn't make sense. You're wasting time, effort, and energy. And for me, my podcast has done so much better than my books, right? Like who would have known? You never know until you step into it and try. So don't just tune out the noise of other people telling you that. And maybe you can do things that other people can't, because that's kind of how I live my life, and just like keep the blinders on and keep moving forward.
When you think about businesses growing their sales beyond forecasts, you probably think about a product with very high demand, a very focused brand, and influence-driven marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business making selling simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Shopify is home to the number one checkout on the planet, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. So if you're growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout brands like Mattel and Heinz use. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/U-turn, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/U-turn to upgrade your selling today. Again, that's shopify.com/U-turn.
But as far as personal branding goes, I'm with you. I think that podcast is where it's at. That's a great way to build community. It's a great way to bring people along on a journey with you, so that not only are like you sharing what you're learning, but they're kind of writing in and they're telling you what, they're following you on social. They're all part of that whole program. They're learning from your guests. They're learning from you, and we're all learning from each other. So I love the community of podcasting. I love how easy it can be, like that we can connect over Zoom on a Friday afternoon and do this together and add value and share what we've learned to help others. It's just, I think it's an incredible vehicle for anyone who is looking to further their personal brand and community. Personal brands are here to stay. Like the idea of business cards and all that, that's gone. Right. So your brand is your LinkedIn profile. Your brand is where you're showing up and creating content. And for these people that I just had a conversation yesterday with someone that has a really big business who's not forward facing. And I'm like, bro, listen, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. I understand you have tons of success already built, but imagine if you started leaning into owning who you are and attracting talent to you, attracting clients. For me, I remember I started my personal brand when I was still in corporate in a very small scale way. The reason why I did is I couldn't find people to come work for me. I was in the radio business. It was really antiquated because digital was taking off, social was taking off. So I thought the difference maker for me is I can let people get to know Heather Monahan. I'm a great boss. I teach my people, I inspire them, I motivate them, I reward them, I acknowledge them. And if people would know me, they'd want to come work for me. And that was the whole reason why I started launching and leaning into my story, my personal brand. It's also part of that strategy. You don't need to always go one-to-one and sit at a coffee shop with one person and explain your pitch or your services. When you go one-to-many, which is essentially what having a personal brand is, you give many hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, millions of people the opportunity to know what problem you solve so that you can start doing more good in the world and helping and serving more people. So see it as, listen, this is the business and the way the business gets done today. If you're not jumping in or leaning into it, I highly encourage you to lean in more and more than ever. And for me, LinkedIn has been the cornerstone of that marketplace. Still to this day, a lot of people say, yeah, but what about Instagram, or what about this one or that one? LinkedIn just grows so much faster without paid ads. And we were just talking about this. Yes, paid ads are a great strategy if you have a lot of resources. I've never spent on paid ads before. I've never had to, because the organic growth on LinkedIn just happens so rapidly. You don't have to spend if you don't want to.
I just Googled your name, Heather, and I see that, like, first it's your website, and then the second thing that comes up is LinkedIn, and the third is Instagram. And that's the thing I think of these networks is, like, when you put yourself on these networks, every word that you're using, I mean, the internet, Google is a search box, right? And if something like LinkedIn has the highest SEO, then you're putting yourself in a position where you're going to be found for reasons that are beyond your wildest imagination. So I'm looking at your LinkedIn right now, Heather, and I'm curious, like, there's probably some people that are going to look at it and say, man, like, I'm just getting started. This woman is, like, killing it. You have 311,000 followers. Like, where does somebody begin to really use LinkedIn? Let's say that somebody's listening right now. They have 100 connections on LinkedIn. They want to put content out there. They want to build a huge following. They want to attract opportunities, whether it's speaking engagements, new clients, corporate deals, whatever they want to get. Where do you begin?
Okay. The first thing that I would tell you is this: there is no perfect. So, like, shed that thought. Perfection is just a cover and veil for fear, right? So you've got to get okay with, hey, I post sometimes and they bomb, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just delete it. Like, you can't get too caught up with every post has to be perfect and get great engagement. That's not real. The most important thing you're going to do is get data, get information. So anytime you post, that's going to provide data to you, feedback. The more you start showing up and posting on a regular basis, I highly recommend at least 5 times a week. I know that's hard for some people. You're thinking it's hard. Oh my gosh, Ashley, and to this point, we should send them to Vocable AI, our very good friend Amon's platform. She has a free trial that you can go on, and her AI software will create a content schedule for you based off of analyzing your brand online. The thing is brilliant. It's incredible. It's all AI. It will do it for you for free. So don't tell me that I can't come up with anything, Heather, to think about, because Vocable will do it for you. But the more you lean in and start testing and trying different pieces of content, like for me, I first talked about getting fired. Then I was like, I don't know what else to post about. I'm just going to bring them along on the journey with me. So I would start talking about what it was that I was doing. And then I started realizing people would message me and say, yeah, but you were in sales leadership for 25 years in corporate. Can't you share some of the things you learned there? I'm like, oh gosh, I forgot about my last career. Okay. So then every once in a while I'd pepper in like my 5 best sales tips, the best 7 secrets to leading a sales team, how to attract the right talent in sales, right? Like, so I would start lean into the things that you know that you can teach, right? Another thing you can do is you can comment or give your perspective on what's happening in business, right? So Sarah Blakely just launched a new company. It's called Sneaks, I think. I could very easily, and so could you as female entrepreneurs, go on and talk about what we think about her launch, and like just giving your perspective and your opinion. People are interested in that because you're going to see things that they miss. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, great point. Thank you for adding that. And the important thing to do is you want to add some value, you want to give some perspective, but then you also want people to comment. So I'm always asking a question at the end, like, tell me in your career when you had a moment you had to reinvent yourself. Arrow pointing down, like, jump in the comments, bros. Let's go. I want to hear from you. Like, give me your story. And then you're going to want to follow up and engage with them. So Everybody has content in their life, just sharing what they're going through. Maybe your kid's going through a tough time and you're sharing how you help them overcome that. That's great content, right? But the data is not going to lie to you. I use an app called Shield Analytics that helps me to analyze all of my posts, show me what's top performing. And what you want to do is, like anything, if success was easy, everybody would have it. You need to work at this, right? On the weekend when I have free time, this is a true story, sadly, I go and look at my analytics and I see, oh, wow, right now this stuff's performing well, this stuff isn't, right? Oh, okay, motivational content isn't performing as well as it did during the pandemic. Let's move more into teaching now. So you start analyzing what's going, and it's always ebbing and flowing and changing with the algorithm. Another thing that I encourage people to do is create a profile of 10 competitors, right? Gary Vee is my competitor. Like Alex Hermosi is my competitor. I pick people who are ahead of me, who are doing better than I am. I constantly watch their stuff. And during the week, when I see a post that they have that's going viral, I take a screenshot of it and I drop it into my iPhone albums, which I have, it's called LinkedIn, or it's called Best Social Posts or Social Inspo. And I just drop it in there because when it comes to the time that I'm going to go sit down and put my plan together for the next week, I'm going to pull that up and use that as inspiration to help me create content similar to theirs. So, and people will say, well, that's copying, Heather. I'm not saying you're going to word by word copy everything from someone, but Alex Hermosi did this incredible post that went viral and had millions of views. I knew if I reinvented it through the lens of me, it would do really well. And it did, right? Because data doesn't lie. It's showing me what the algorithm is liking. So I reinvented his post through the lens of my life. It was him like doing at 40 this or 30 this, whatever. And I just mirrored it, but I did it through my life. And at the end, I put, thanks for the inspiration at Alex Hermosi. Like, I let people know I got the idea from this guy, right? So you can reinvent and reimagine things. And that's really what everybody's doing. There has not been an original artwork or work created since the Bible. Everybody is reimagining everything through their life experience and their life expertise. Don't worry or get caught up in, I'm just duplicating what other people are doing. Give your perspective, add your value to it, your twist to it, and it makes it unique.
It's interesting. It's like success really does leave clues. Kind of going back to the beginning. So it's like finding 10 competitors, starting to get someone. I can imagine it's overwhelming for somebody that's not having LinkedIn be like threaded into their everyday life, because we kind of go into autopilot. Like every morning, I don't look at doing my makeup and think, oh, it's all these steps. You know what I mean? It's just so autopiloted. What are some of the like maybe like first and second things you think people should start to autopilot into their LinkedIn that is going to eventually grow it in a way that creates the results? Like, what are a couple of things that you're like, everybody needs to be doing this on an ongoing basis on LinkedIn?
The most important thing is posting regularly, because the algorithm penalizes you if you're not posting regularly, right? So like, just show up daily and post something. That is the most important thing. Don't share other people's content. That helps me. I love when people share my content. It is not going to help you, right? So you think like, I get people pinging me all the time, Heather, please share this. There's zero chance I'm sharing anything. What I would do, and I'd encourage you to do this, if someone comes to me and says, Heather, share this incredible story about blah, 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 I'll create a post of my own talking about what they want me to talk about and, tag them in the comments below or something, but I'm not going to actually share their post because LinkedIn will penalize me for that. It will reward the person that you shared their content, right? So that's important to know. Another thing that you should get pretty comfortable with is going on to, let's say you want to speak at more events, right? So you create this list of 10 top speakers that are speaking everywhere you want to speak. You follow those 10 people, go to their page, go to their post, and comment in the comment section, because the people that are hiring them are following them and are in those comments. You want to start adding value and saying, oh my gosh, great story. That was similar to me when I spoke at blah, blah, blah. That happens a lot for me. Like, I'll go comment on some really big speakers' profiles, and then I'll get a ping from someone. Hey, I just hired, I'm just saying Sarah Blakely because we're talking about her. I just hired Sarah Blakely to speak at our conference. I saw you commented on it, Heather. Would love to hear what your availability is next year. Let's jump on a call. Like, show up in the places you want to be in conversation and start adding your value and giving your perspective in the comments below. You'll gain more followers from that, and you'll start engaging with the people that are hiring for the things you're looking to be hired for.
Okay, so I know you've built your speaking career pretty fully. Has LinkedIn been, in the way that you just described, one of the core places you've attracted speaking engagements?
90% of my speaking engagements still to this day come from LinkedIn. It's insane. And I don't, that's not a great answer, right? Because, or that's not a great, it's actually still a problem for me. So you want those people to be in your community. I'm always trying to move those people from LinkedIn to my email list, from LinkedIn to my text list, like from LinkedIn to something in my owned proprietary. I don't want LinkedIn owning all of my leads, right? Because LinkedIn can kick you off. LinkedIn's kicked me off 3 different times, right? So Instagram can take your account away. Any of these different platforms can take everything from you. So the goal is to build up, create community, and then have like a podcast, have a place to send these people with your free ebook to get on your email list, whatever it is, add value in other ways to get them off that platform to a place that you own and can stay in contact with them. So you if you do, for whatever reason, lose your account, you don't lose your business.
Right.
But it's been incredible. The way that you set up your profile is a really important way to attract business. So again, go look at the people who are playing at the level you want to play at. See how their profile is set up, right? So if you go to my page, you're going to see top 50 keynote speaker the minute that you get there, right? You're going to see TED speaker. You're going to, like, it's all about speaker, speaker, speaker. I want those keywords all throughout, not only my headline to find me, but through my bio, through the About Heather section, right? Like all the things I want to be found for, I'm thinking about those words. And I didn't stumble into this by accident. I did my research. I went to the people who are playing at the level I want to play at, and I studied how they're doing it, and then I reinvented my profile through that lens. You constantly want to optimize and change it too, like, because different things are going to work at different times. For a long time on LinkedIn, hashtags were so important. Now posts perform better if you don't use hashtags, right? So I wouldn't know that if I didn't constantly analyze data and constantly, follow and watch what's happening on that feed. Another way that you can grow really quickly that I highly suggest people do is to create a pod. This is something that has been game changing for me. And any of the coaching programs that I do for my own people, I put them all in different pods. And what that is, it's a WhatsApp group that you put 10, 20, 30 people in together. And the whole goal is for everybody to share their posts daily that they post on LinkedIn. There's 3 dots at the top of the post. Click on it. It will drop down and give you the opportunity to create a link to that post, copy and paste that into the group chat. And then everybody will jump on your post and like and comment. That tricks the algorithm into thinking, this post is amazing. Everybody's getting so much value from it. And it spikes it and starts sharing it with so many more people than you would have been able to reach previously. So that's like one of the best hacks for any post on LinkedIn.
I used to see in Instagram people being like, let's have an engagement group where we like and comment on stuff. But I always kind of thought, like, is this really doing anything? But it sounds like on LinkedIn, it is.
On LinkedIn, it's game changing. And I see it on the weekends. My pods aren't live. And I'll see, like, I personally have to just engage so much. I have to work harder to get the same reach that I would get during the week because I don't have those people jumping on my post to support it.
How many people are in a pod that you would think somebody would need to really actually see the algorithm favor you and spike your posts?
It can be as small as 10 people and you're going to see a difference.
Okay. That's powerful. So what I'm hearing you say is, like, so anybody right now just getting started, I'm rehashing the notes. Look for your top 10 competitors, look at what they're doing, figure out your own version of it. Don't stop posting. Don't share other people's posts. Put your own content out every day. Talk to me a little bit about when people hear this, they're thinking, oh, I'm putting my content out every day. They're probably feeling a little overwhelmed, like, well, shit, I don't know what I need to say every day. Like, I'm in a Vipassana with myself. Like, I don't even know what I have to say what would be a valuable post? Can it be as simple as, like, happy Monday, here are 3 thoughts that I have this morning? Like, how do you decide what merits a post?
Yeah. So again, I go back to during the week, I'm taking screenshots of the posts that I see going viral and doing very well. I drop those into my album that says post inspo or whatever. Those are going to inspire me and show me data-driven decisions on what I should be posting about. It's teaching me right there. So allow what you're viewing on the feed to teach you. When you see something doing well, save it in that folder. And then when it's time to create your own content, that's 20, 30, 50 pieces of inspiration for you right there. all through life. Like I get off a flight and I'm, driving somewhere and I see something on the road that inspires me. I take a picture of that billboard and that goes into my post. Like I'm always being inspired by different things, as we all are. Headlines that are happening, right? Like a game that just, Taylor Swift commenting about the presidential election. That's a post. You can talk about, and it doesn't have to be political. You can just say, what are your thoughts on celebrities getting involved in politics? That's a post, right? If anything can be a post, whether you're presenting it as, a trending news item and you're asking for feedback, or you're giving your perspective on it, or you're teaching something, or you're sharing something that's happening in your life, or to your point, you're just talking about 3 things that are important to do on a Monday. Like all of these things are posts. It's just what resonates with you.
So I'm guessing once somebody posts, that's not the end of the game. Like you text your pod and say, hey, please like, comment. And then what about like engaging with the comments? I'm guessing that's equally important for your post to keep doing well. Like what are some other things after somebody follows this lead? They're posting every day. Maybe it's falling flat. What are they not doing that would cause it to fall flat if they're following this lead?
Giving up, right? Giving up is an epic fail. Do not give up, because I have had, not only did I have years where, I wasn't getting the kind of engagement I'm getting now. I'll share this story that this really helped me. When I first launched my podcast, I wanted to have the biggest podcast guest on. So I got Gary Vee to be on my first guest on my show. When we got to the end of the show, he challenged me. He said, listen, you're not big enough on LinkedIn. This was in 2019. He said, you're not big enough on LinkedIn. I was already showing up every day on LinkedIn. He's like, I want you to double down. I want you to start posting 7 times a day. He's like, that's how much I post on LinkedIn. At the time, he was posting 7 times a day. That knocked me over when I heard Gary Vee was posting 7 times a day. And I said to him, like, don't you think that's overkill? This is actually all in the podcast. And he said, no. He said, the algorithm only shows your content to a very small portion of your audience. Don't get discouraged when you only get a few likes or comments. Instead, get inspired by it, that the algorithm is not letting you reach enough people. You have this other, 10,000, 2,000, whatever it is, people that you need to reach. That should be inspiration for you to get up and post again. So his point was, he saw the perspective shift with him was very, very different than what I had. I thought I'd be like driving people crazy. He's like, no, if you're driving someone crazy, it's a super fan and they want to hear from you. They're not going to be upset by it. The reality is you're never reaching even a small percentage of your audience. And he shared with me, he's like, Heather, I started with 1 like. I started with 1 comment. I started sucking. He said, I just started 10 years before you. And that was like, this aha moment was, I might not have all the answers right now, but the key is to start now, because if I could do anything different, it would be to go back 10 years and start then. I can't make that fix. So the key is just to do it now.
I think a lot about that quote that like a rocket uses half of its fuel for liftoff. And the older I get, the more it resonates. The more I'm like, damn, getting something started, getting something moving, it takes most of the energy. And then once it's moving, momentum kind of has its way with it, where it starts to kind of feed itself and handle itself. Like I think about my personal brand, it's like a layer cake. Like, doing a couple of TED Talks in my first 5 years of personal branding, those were big brand moves and they took up so much energy for me. Now they're just set it and forget it. They're just out there getting me leads all the time. When I think about my Twitter, I posted on there every day. I would create posts. Then I got it into a system. I was like, you know what? I'm going to spend 1 day a month writing everything I have to say. And then all it is now is like a 5-second thing that I look at my piece of paper that I have my posts and I submit it. Oh, now there's automation software, like all these different things. Speaking of, I know that there's some rumors that like things like automation software can hurt your traction. Is that something you found to be true with LinkedIn? Let's say somebody wants to go in and create a little set it and forget it.
Yeah, I mean, I have not done that, right? I do have some friends that have done it successfully. In my humble opinion, I would just advise, I wouldn't start out with that. There are risks with it, right? So if there's a way you can do it, listen, there's VAs out there that will work for very little money. That's a better solution than to have, the software just automated running for you. I have not done it, so I can't really speak to it, but I believe having a person post for you, even if it's not you, I mean, again, and also to be very upfront with everybody, LinkedIn does not want anyone but you logging in. They don't want software on there. They don't want VAs on there. Like they are real clear about it. So you just have to be careful, whatever it is that you're going to do, because it was all designed just for that one person and that one, owner to be logging in. But thus far for me, I have VAs or myself doing it, and I have not gone the software route.
So what has happened, and I know this could be like a rabbit hole we don't want to go down. So what happens when LinkedIn has like frozen your account? You said 3 times. Was it a whole project, or were you able to get it unfrozen?
I was able to get it unfrozen, but it was not for the faint of heart. Like that was, when you have hundreds of thousands of followers on there, think of the time, energy, and money that I put into this over a 7-year period. I don't even want to think about it. It's how much money I put into it, right? So huge amounts. I have a team that works on my account for the last few years. So it was super scary. I'm not going to lie. And it's all about who you know and trying to get to people who can help you. Now, I'll tell you, the first time it happened, I had no idea what to expect. I thought my account was gone. And that can happen. Like, again, it could happen. But we were able to get to somebody that worked there, let them know I did not have any ill intent for I was not, I've seen people get kicked off of LinkedIn for, writing inappropriate things. It wasn't like anything like that. It was that I had a highly active account, or was highly watched. I don't even know. Anyhow, they ended up after, I think it was like almost 2 weeks, my account was gone, and they gave it back to me.
Wow.
A couple of years later, same thing happened. And then last year, same thing happened again. So, like anything, the more that it happens to you, the more okay, I don't have a solution today. We're going to find a solution. I just need to get to the right person, and, we can get it resolved. There's also a thing that you can do. You can create a ticket. If you go to the help center on LinkedIn, and that will flag LinkedIn that there's a problem with your account, that you need help, and they will ultimately get back to you on that as well.
I mean, if you log in and you can't log in, how do you go to the help center?
You call your friends. And, the funny thing is, you usually, even if your account is no longer live, you can still log in and see those basic things. It's just your account isn't showing up, but like you can still get into the platform. But worst case, you just call a friend and have someone submit a ticket on your behalf.
Okay. This is just good for anybody who has fear if they start to play big. I wonder often, because there are a lot of amazing softwares that integrate with LinkedIn and help you build your business, get sales, da 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 da. It's so interesting. We really live in a world that's such a freaking game. It's like we're playing the game with LinkedIn. We need things from it, but they have rules and they're trying to get us to not do it. It's so wild how much nuance there is to navigate here. But I really love what you said about competitors and how you just kind of like follow their lead. And it's not about you copying them. It's about doing your own version of what they are showing you the market wants. Beyond posting pods, beyond engaging, what is maybe some sort of unexpected tip to powerfully get ROI from LinkedIn before we go?
In the DMs, right? So business gets done in the DMs, and you'll see that people are going to message you. People, you can message other people. You can invite people to connect with you. But those conversations that you have in the DMs is where you're going to sell people.
Okay. So speaking of people, like obviously this would not be the episode I dreamed of without just talking about community with you. Okay, so everyone listening, you remember me talking about Inner Fifth, which I believe it's just innerfifth.com, right, Heather? Like I'm gonna check it out now. Innerfifth.com.
Yeah.
So Inner Fifth is a curated membership, and it's for growth-oriented female entrepreneurs. They have people who identify as men as allies as part of the group, meaning that they are, I mean, obviously we need all of the genders represented to help us get where we want to go in our goals. I have been pretty involved with Inner Fifth myself because that community has given me so much more than I've given it. Like I feel like I give to it and it just keeps giving back to me. Some of my best business ideas, business contacts, everything's have come from Inner Fifth. Can you talk to me about the role that having these private networks have played for you in your success, and maybe just any thoughts you have on Inner Fifth in general for you of who is listening now that should really look at it?
Oh my gosh, it's like what Tracy, the founder of Interfifth, always says. It's the who, not the how, right? Like if you want to leapfrog everybody out there, if you want to move at the speed of light, it's all about getting in the room with the right who, the right people. And no one's out there succeeding alone. So often we think that when we're alone and we're struggling, the reality is that people that are really succeeding and making moves and moving fast, they're doing it as part of a team. They're in community with others, right? You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You want to be surrounded by people who are excelling beyond you. And that's the beauty of Interfifth and getting in a community with like-minded entrepreneurs that are not only there to support you and encourage you, but challenge you and connect you to their network and allow you to meet the people that are putting things together that you want to be at that conversation and table. But prior to meeting that person, you didn't even know that table existed. And that has happened countless times for me. I mean, just even as recently as, for years, I've been trying to create a clothing brand and a product line. And I keep being met with failure after failure after failure until I got plugged into the right who through Interfifth and, finding that right person who actually has done it, knows how to do it. That solves all of your problems. So you don't have to be banging your head against a wall on your own. You can finally meet the people who've done the things that you want to do and want to help connect you in to those same partnerships and relationships so that you can move faster. I just taught a class for them a couple weeks ago, and I'm doing another one next month. They're constantly having different people who are succeeding in different arenas of life come in and share their expertise. So you're getting the opportunity, ability to, speak with, ask questions of people who are light years ahead of you in all of these different industries and different arenas. And then she's constantly having these in-person events. She's having these deep dive events into, really getting you and your business to the next level. And again, you're learning from people who have sold their companies for $700 million, close to $1 billion, people who are living at the level that you want to live at. Like to me, this is what I was missing when I first got fired. I wish I had a group of people who had already gone through and made the mistakes I was about to make. I would have saved myself a couple of years of pain and agony.
Yeah, it's so true. For me, it makes me sad, honestly, to think about what would have happened in my career if I didn't have networks like this one, because it's like a super ticket for your career. It's like, why would you try to figure out how to build a website without talking to somebody who's built a bunch of websites? Like, it's that simple, right? Like, okay, so those of you who are interested, Interfifth has these really cool events to give you a taste of it. It's called Taste of Interfifth. Check out their website, interfifth.com. Heather, where else should everybody go? Is this the spot to just learn more about the things you care about? I love that we talked about LinkedIn. You got me. I have FOMO now. I have so much on my plate, but now I want to get my LinkedIn to the next level because you talked about it. Where else can anybody go, or is that the right spot?
Yeah, go to interfifth.com and there's a membership section. You can set up a call with Kennedy. If you have questions, you can learn more about it. Please do. I'm actually so committed to being out there and a part of this team all of the time, but in person once a month now. I'm out there, and it's definitely a community that you want to join and become a part of. It's incredible people doing massive things. So definitely check it out there. You can find me at Heather Monahan. I'm on all social media. My website's heathermonahan.com. And my podcast is Creating Confidence with Heather Monahan. And of course, Ashley is a guest many times over.
Thanks again for coming on with me.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the U-Turn podcast. I hope you learned so much in this episode and you're putting it into action today. We would love to hear from you. Slide into my DMs at Ashley Stahl or leave a written review if you're inspired. It would mean so much to us. Be sure to subscribe to the show because, as you know, the more subscribers we get, the better the guests we can bring you. And in the meantime, if you're looking to skyrocket your personal brand and impact millions, head on over to wisewhisperagency.com to learn more about how we are getting clients booked for the TEDx stage.